Hey everyone, and welcome to Boston Autoblog. As a car reviewer, there's a list of vehicles always on my mind that I'm looking forward to featuring and reviewing for the channel. And the Cadillac CT4 is certainly one of those cars, but for a few reasons. One being the fact that in the automotive industry, where everything's about crossovers and SUVs, it's very refreshing to see an all-new sedan. Now also, I first checked out this car back in January at the Boston Auto Show, and from that day forward, I wanted to do a proper feature of this car. Now, unfortunately, when these cars started to arrive at dealerships, that's right around the time we went into a shutdown, so I had to wait a few extra months. But I have to say, after spending a few minutes already with this car, it was certainly worth the wait. Now, as we checked out at the beginning of the year, the Cadillac CT5 was the beginning of the restructuring for the sedan lineup for Cadillac. And the CT4 is that second piece. But in my opinion, the more important piece to this puzzle because of its pricing, its size, but also the segment it's going to compete in. So in this video, we're going to check out the CT4, but also we're going to see if this sedan right here can give Mercedes-Benz, Audi, and BMW a run for their money. Now, before we get in this review, I'd like to thank Colonial Cadillac in Woburn, Massachusetts for allowing me to do this review. Their link will be in the description below, so you can check out their extensive Cadillac inventory. And so, without wasting any further time, let's get right in this review. One development within the last 18 months in the automotive industry that's certainly taken people by surprise is the growth of entry-level luxury sedans and sportbacks. This list includes the Mercedes-Benz A-Class, BMW 2 Series Grand Coupe, Audi A3, and now the Cadillac CT4, with all these models sharing one thing in common: a starting price just above $30,000. In recent studies in the past year, experts found millennials are actually gravitating towards sedans over crossovers. And at the same time, while they're more frugal shoppers than older generations, they still find luxury brands appealing. For Cadillac, the CT4 is part of a restructuring move for their sedan lineup, as the CT5 replaced the CTS, and this CT4 taking the place of the ATS. But this change wasn't just in name only, as pricing and size have been adjusted to compete in new markets. The 2020 CT4 has a base price of $34,000, which is about $5,000 more affordable than the ATS it's replacing. With the model we have today being a premium luxury, and with a few optional packages, pricing can near the mid $40,000 price range. In terms of dimensions, the CT4 is about 7 inches shorter and 3 inches thinner than its bigger sibling. And while it may compete with the Audi A3 and Mercedes-Benz A-Class, it's actually the same size as the BMW 3 Series and Volvo S60. For consumers, the added shoulder room and overall interior volume could be an incentive that draws new buyers to the brand, particularly for shoppers in this segment. Also, with most European brands, sedans the size of the CT4 usually go for about $6,000 more. So factoring in optional features, you may walk away with a better equipped car around $40,000. Refreshing to see for the front fascia is the lack of resemblance to the ATS, indicating that Cadillac is ready to move in a new direction. While some chrome accents remain, it doesn't dominate the grille design in any way like Cadillac models of the past, and instead our model has a very classy and unique appearance that defines American luxury in 2020. Drawing my attention the most, however, is the headlight design, and as I did back in January, I couldn't resist the urge to express my admiration for Cadillac's new look. Now, my favorite aspect of the CT4 has to be the front fascia and this daytime running light that gets extended all the way down to the lower portion of the front bumper. It's a design that we're seeing a lot more in the automotive industry, but I think it gives the CT4 a very unique design element in this segment. Now, the headlight itself gets integrated into the front grille, and we're seeing a lot more of that from Cadillac, like the CT5 and also the XT6, which I do think gives Cadillac a more luxurious aspect to it, especially in 2020. Now, I understand that Cadillac does appeal to an older demographic, but at a price point around $35,000 to $45,000, the CT4 right here has to appeal to people, millennials around 30 years old or older people around 40 years old. And I think that's exactly what the CT4 offers. There's no way you're confusing this with a German design like Mercedes-Benz, Audi, and BMW. And I do think, though, that for a modern American luxury car, the CT4 looks very nice. Incorporating aesthetic features from the CT5 and CT6, the CT4 receives its own distinct road presence, while still conforming to the new lineup of vehicles Cadillac has been rolling out over the last year or so. Moving over to the side profile, the CT4 we have today is sitting on 18-inch alloy wheels wrapped in all-season tires. But you can option for 19s for an additional $2,300. You'll get body color folding side mirrors with turn signal indicators. And setting the premium luxury apart from the luxury trim will be the optional enhanced safety equipment, such as lane keep assist and lane departure warning. Coming around to the back, you're met with the very similar rear end that we saw on the Cadillac CT5, with the very clean design and standard LED taillights. Adding a more aggressive road presence to this sedan is the dual exhaust outlets. However, what stands out the most to me is the C-pillar architecture that does give the CT4 a sportback-like rear end, which has become the new normal for most new cars on the market today. Under the hood, the CT4 we have today is powered by a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine that puts out 237 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque, and is paired with an 8-speed automatic transmission. However, there's a more powerful engine Cadillac offers that has caught the attention of enthusiasts. Now, optional for the premium luxury is a 2.7-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine that puts out 310 horsepower and 350 pound-feet of torque, which is really rather impressive for a vehicle in this price point. Now, we've already gone over the fact that the CT4 is around the same size as a BMW 3 Series and Volvo S60. And when you look at the price, or the starting price for a BMW 3 Series, off the top of my head, I think that's around $41,000. So you're looking at a few options added on to the 3 Series at $45,000. But at $45,000 for a CT4, you have options included and that extra performance. So in my opinion, the CT4 makes a great case for itself to be a very popular vehicle in the $35,000 to $45,000 price range, whether you go with a 2-liter or 2.7-liter 4-cylinder engine. For the drivetrain, rear-wheel drive comes standard, with all-wheel drive being a $3,200 option. And when it comes to fuel efficiency, you can expect to receive right around 23 miles per gallon in the city and 34 miles per gallon on the highway with a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine. Alright, so we are test driving the Cadillac CT4. Once again, huge thank you to Colonial Cadillac for letting me test drive this car. Now, first thing that I want to point out immediately is the steering on this car. Now, if you are very familiar with American cars, you know that steering is very loose. And that's one thing that I personally do not like about American cars. It's one of the reasons why I always prefer going German, European, or Japanese. However, the Cadillac CT4 has a very tight steering. And that was not something I was expecting at all when I was moving this car around, and then even right now, test driving this vehicle. If I were to compare this to anything, it's a little bit more tighter than the Korean brands, such as Genesis. And this is very similar to what you would expect from a lot of German brands in this price range and segment. That actually, to me, steering is most important because, all right, we have more of a nice comfortable chassis and suspension, And of course, this car is not going to go do laps around some track somewhere. So for me, sports tune suspension isn't really important when test driving the premium luxury. But steering, though, to me, is definitely a top priority, and the CT4 provides that. And I'm actually really impressed with what Cadillac is offering here right now. I was not expecting this at all. Also, when it comes to cabin noise, this is the complete opposite of what I was expecting from the CT4. Actually, everything that I'm experiencing right now is opposite of what I was expecting. The steering tight, the road noise is really basically non-existent, and then interior comfort is certainly very surprising. The CT4, if there was one word to describe this car, it would be surprising. And don't get caught up in the badge either. Everyone gets caught up in BMW, Audi, and Mercedes-Benz. I have to say, I've driven a lot of BMWs over the last year and a half or so. This is competitive to the 2 Series Grand Coupe. This is right around the same quality you'd find in an Audi A3 and a Mercedes-Benz A-Class. Also, when it comes to performance, you have more performance than you would have in Mercedes-Benz A-Class. I have to say, I'm just thoroughly impressed overall. Now, for luxury sedans in this segment, there is not a true victor yet. There's not one vehicle that has taken over this segment at all. A lot of this is with the fact that a lot of consumers are going in the subcompact crossover and compact crossover direction. But there is a bit of a buzz because you do have the Mercedes-Benz A-Class, the Audi A3, and also the BMW 2 Series Grand Coupe. But I think when you look at all the options you have, not one of them has really taken over. Usually when you look at like the regular compact sedans, BMW is by far way and above and beyond Audi and Mercedes-Benz in terms of sales. But this segment is really up for grabs, and I think the Cadillac CT4 definitely has an opportunity to take some market share away from the German rivals. Let's get this acceleration, see what we can do here. Pretty aggressive, actually. But more importantly, at the end of this test drive, would I feel okay buying a Cadillac CT4 at $40,000 or $45,000? I have to say absolutely. Like, even if you're paying around $35,000 for just a luxury, you're getting a lot more than most rivals in this segment. Now, of course, the CT4 is around the same size as a 3 Series, and you certainly feel it. I have a decent amount of shoulder room. But when you're going up against cars like the A-Class, the 2 Series Grand Coupe, and the Audi A3, I think this is a superior ride. I think it's a superior car compared to those German rivals. And I wouldn't sleep on Cadillac right now, especially in this segment. I think what Cadillac is offering is quite a lot at $35,000 for a base, and even at $45,000, $50,000 for one of the more top trims. Then take in consideration that you can drop a 2.7 liter turbocharged engine in here. You get 310 horsepower. I just think that Cadillac has a good recipe right now for themselves. And if consumers are looking for an entry-level luxury experience, I think this is a great opportunity and a great option to go with. I have to say, it's definitely one of the better handling cars I've driven so far this year, and that's saying quite a lot considering the fact this is not a German car. And this is also coming from somebody who is a BMW fanboy. So, very, very nice car, and I'm impressed, definitely impressed with what Cadillac is offering here with the CT4.
Inside the CT4, we're greeted by power-adjustable heated and ventilated seats for both the driver and passenger as part of the optional $1,200 climate package. Based on the vehicle's interior temperature, these ventilated seats will be turned on automatically while you drive to keep you comfortable at all times. The driver's side will also be 2-position memory for added convenience if you have more than one driver in the family. In front of you, in the center of the analog gauges, a digital display will provide a variety of information, from fuel economy and tire pressure monitoring to your turn-by-turn navigation system. If you opt for the technology package, you'll receive an 8-inch digital cluster, modernizing the interior layout. Moving over to the infotainment system, we have an 8-inch touchscreen with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto compatibility to go along with the optional onboard navigation system and the 14-speaker Bose premium surround sound system. Resolution and responsiveness are good, with no lag whatsoever. You'll get a rear backup camera with trajectory, and if you get too close to an object behind you, the car will send a vibrating pulse through the seats to warn you of a pedestrian or parked car. Below, you'll find the buttons for your dual-zone climate control and 3-level heated and ventilated seats. As I gaze at the dashboard layout, this is very similar to what you'll find in most rivals, which certainly adds to the luxury feel and gives you the notion that the interior is on par with competitors. Optional will be your wireless phone charging pad as part of the navigation and Bose package. For the center console in the CT4, the layout does differ from the CT5. While it retains the button layout for the auto start stop feature and drive mode selector, the premium luxury won't have the rotary dial and quick access buttons we saw in the CT5. However, you can get this layout in the CT4 V series, which starts just over $46,000, or about $1,000 to $2,000 more than the model we have today. For the center storage compartment, you'll find plenty of room for small items and a smartphone. And rounding out the front seating area, a power moonroof will let in a lot of natural light, while also providing an upscale experience in the car. Now for passengers in the back, we're going to start off with seating position, which I think is actually more important than the amount of legroom you have. Because again, it's a sedan. You're not going to have as much legroom that you would have in a crossover. So I think more importantly is seating position. And with the CT4, and I noticed this with the CT5, I feel as though that I'm reclining. I feel as though that this is a very comfortable driving experience for passengers in the back. These seats provide a good amount of bolstering. I feel very secure back here. Then when it comes to legroom, I adjusted the seat most of the way back. As I noticed in January at the Boston Auto Show, these front seats are very adjustable to the point that I feel as though someone around 6 foot tall would feel very comfortable in this car, and they wouldn't feel claustrophobic and they wouldn't feel very cramped or squished. Now I have a few inches of room to work with, so I'm comfortable. I would prefer the seat to be a little further up, but I do think someone around 5'5" back here could be comfortable. I don't know if we get into the 6 foot range, that's a whole different story. Now, just like with the CT5, I noticed that the CT4 is not going to be able to fit a third person back here. There is just no way. The middle hump is very aggressive, but also this is a characteristic that we see in a lot of Grand Tours. And I'd like to say that the CT4 and the CT5 are Grand Tours. They're meant to be driven for longer periods of time, on longer trips, longer journeys, and the amount of comfort I have back here certainly proves that statement. And then on the driver's side, I'm sitting behind myself at 5'5", and I have plenty of legroom to work with. So I think for the vehicle of its size, but also its price point, you're not going to find this amount of legroom in the A-Class, the 2 Series Grand Coupe, or the Audi A3. So if you're looking for a more spacious vehicle, then I think the CT4 makes more sense. Also back here, you do get 2 rear air vents, a 12-volt outlet, and rounding out the front seating area, you do get a center armrest with 2 cup holders. Now for rear cargo space, you can expect to receive right around 11 cubic feet of rear cargo, which actually is slightly better than the ATS the CT4 is replacing. Now, obviously, cargo might be a bit of a concern, but of course you'd probably go with a crossover at that point if you want that extra practicality. But what stands out to me though is that the trunk area is actually very deep. So I have plenty of room for my camera gear, but also I have enough room for groceries as well. So I think if you're not in the market for a crossover, you're just looking for a vehicle that you can drive around town, has enough room for smaller items and groceries, then the CT4 is more than enough. You also have a nice side pocket on the right side where you can fit some of the booklets that the CT4 comes with, or smaller items that you're afraid are going to get thrown around. So I think overall though, for city driving or urban lifestyles where you don't need that extra practicality, I think the CT4 provides more than enough. Now at the end of the day, the final impression I have for the CT4 has to be its build quality. And I was not expecting that when I want to review this car. Now I've checked out a lot of other competitors in this price range and segment, the Audi A3 and the BMW 2 Series Grand Coupe. When it comes to the base prices around $32,000, $34,000, and when you look at the A3 specifically, I think the CT4 outcompetes some of the German rivals for sure when it comes to interior comfort. These seats are really comfortable, they provide a good amount of bolstering, and the interior itself is very welcoming. The button layout for the dashboard, the center console with the wireless phone charging pad, I have enough room where I do have a nice little armrest for myself right here. And I understand, okay, the CT4 is not as big as the CT5, so you lose that extra shoulder room, you lose that extra interior volume. But the interior itself is basically a baby CT5. You lose a few design elements that we saw in the CT5, but it doesn't seem much different. And what I noticed with the Audi A3 and also the BMW 2 Series Grand Coupe is that build quality, but also interior itself, is slightly different than its bigger siblings, like the 3 Series and the Audi A4. And then when you look at the Mercedes-Benz A-Class, you only get 188 horsepower, whereas with the CT4, you get 237 standard. So from performance, pricing, and also the size, it's better than its competitors. I understand a lot of Americans get drawn in by the badge, whether it's Audi, BMW, Mercedes-Benz, and I understand that. But the CT4, and I am really trying to be objective here with this, because as you guys know, I love my German cars, but this is actually really comfortable. It's really nice. And when you're looking at a price point around $35,000 to $45,000, I gotta be honest, this is outcompeting at least the Korean brands and non-German brands in this price range for sure. I think you could make an argument, okay, you'd prefer the Audi A3's interior or Mercedes-Benz interior, or you like the BMW more. But I just think for performance for the price, I really think the CT4 is definitely one of the best cars in this segment and price range. And I think if you're looking for a sedan that provides a nice, comfortable interior, that's very welcoming, but also feels very luxurious, then the CT4 is certainly a great option to go with. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe for more. And I'll see you guys next time.